love that album. They love that because it's simple. It's not complicated Prince. It's it's very 3-4 minute Prince.
So like, would you say that Rainbow Children is his attempt at neo soul?
No, definitely not. That one, I think that one is what helped him to see that he could still do it in that form. Mm-hmm. And have it just be, because this one is where he built it up with just him and John Blackwell. Yeah. So that's different from what he was doing before. So him and John Blackwell really recorded that album together, and then he put everybody on it. Yeah. Because but that song Everywhere, like that's just him and Prince just jamming.
I think like with Prince, he you never know his, like, what his influences are, or were. For something until like after the fact. You know what I'm saying? True. And so while some people have said that, like that was his answer to the Voodoo thing being influenced by. Yeah. I think it was just kind of like him kind of being like, I'm going through some different stuff in my life. Mm-hmm. People dig this Fender Rhodes, so let me go ahead and, kind of throw this in. And not like he's a musician, so like once he gets on it, he's going to give you some stuff. You can be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. But in that vein of Voodoo and, like there's a riot going on, it's not an easy listen. Yeah. But when you listen to it, you're like, oh, I'm catching. Right. It's some stuff on here that's kind of dope. And so. Yeah. Well, so you said something about Black Messiah. So what did you feel about that record coming? What was it? I guess 14 years after Voodoo. Yeah. What did you feel about Black Messiah? And because I personally, I was hyped when I heard the charade. I was like, and then the version on the record is beautiful. I just wish it was like 2 minutes longer. I could take 2 more minutes of that. But I feel like it is a great record. I don't feel like it's a classic. If there was a follow up to it quicker, because now that was already, that was into 2014. Yeah. So we're looking at 5-6 years almost now. We're looking at almost 6 years since that record has come out. And if there was a real follow up to it, I feel like that would have gave it even more of a strength. But what do you feel about that record? Like after Black Messiah? Yeah. First, and again, I'm sorry, listeners, but having grown up a Prince fan, I've grown accustomed to not expecting albums from artists to sound like the previous one. Yeah, totally. So, with that, and like there have been reports of like say D'Angelo playing like a guitar now and things like that, and so when I kind of got just maybe through, I don't know, I guess an OK Player, like message boards or social media or something, right. Like you kind of got wind that Questlove's not involved. Like, okay. Then you kind of get it like, okay, there are no Sadiq tracks because it came out online first, man, if you remember. It was like Apple Music. It was like an iTunes release something first. Right. And so, like once that happened, then the credits, kind of came up. But other than that, it's it is one of those where, again, going back in history, it's kind of one of those albums where you're kind of like, Purple Rain, Around the World in a Day, Stan, There's a Riot going on. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like something that's just totally not like the previous one. And so you got to take it for what it is, where it is. Of course, like Sugar Daddy was cool. Back to the Future was cool. I thought he, I still think it's an interesting album. It's not an easy listen. Right. You know what I'm saying? You don't think it's an easy listen, the Black Messiah record? Not as easy as Brown Sugar is. Okay. And what I mean by easy listen is that, like one of the complaints I heard about it was people can't understand like what he's saying. Or what I just remember being amped, like thinking like, wow, man, is Jesse Johnson on this? Like that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I knew Chris Dave was on it. It was like, oh, okay. And, I think part of me was just, well, I'm getting it anyway. And then by that point, I think I'd had like a couple of live bootlegs from his shows. Yeah. At that point, so I was like, I checked it out.
Playing a couple of the songs.
Yeah, they've been playing a couple of songs. Yeah.
I mean, there was a clip. There's a clip that he played some shows in Paris, and then that was like some of the first stuff. That's where I heard the first version of the charade. And then actually, I saw him in Virginia Beach in 2013.
Yeah,
it was him and Mary J.
He was down in Norfolk. Yeah, down in Norfolk.
They did like 4 dates together.
Man, how was that show?
That show was awesome.
Okay.
I mean, it was the best singing I've ever seen live.
Wow.
Like, it was some of the best singing. Like, he was just flawless on the mic. And it was like a black show. Like, it was like he didn't play around. Like, he didn't play around. He's not like, it wasn't like he was playing it like Afro Pop Fest or something like that, where he's gonna like do all the B-sides and weird stuff and some rock stuff, whatever. He kept it cold. Like, it was like urban. It was urban. It was urban nights. And then because then Mary J came on, and she tore it up too. Yeah. She was amazing. She sounded incredible. But so he was teasing a lot of the stuff. He didn't really talk a whole lot, but it was a great show.
Yeah, show. I mean, so like there again. I mean, so I'm used to artistry like that. Like like this one isn't gonna be like that one, and you got to find I mean what you like in this one. And so what I'm saying about it, like easy listening is that like if you're at a cookout, I mean a family cookout, you're not gonna hear a lot of Black Messiah tunes.
No,
you could hear Cruising or Lady or Brown Sugar, but you won't hear, like, you really won't hear a whole lot of Voodoo tunes, maybe except for Feels Like Making Love,
right?
Maybe Devil's Pot if it's the younger part of the family.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
if it's the older part of the family, you might just hear Feels Like Making Love.
You could do Send It On or whatever.
Yeah, Send It On.
Send It On, and definitely like some of those.
I think maybe One More Again. Maybe
One More Again, Spanish joint.
Yeah,
there's a few that people know.
And so I do get too that he was trying to dismantle that whole like untitled video image. So I think that kind of went into like the music too. Like, I know some people go, well, I mean, what do you mean? It's like, he kind of was tired of that image. And so,
I mean, I guess those shows were just different from a different perspective as far as how he saw it, as opposed to everyone else. He felt like a piece of meat up there, I guess, after a certain point, which is unfortunate. You know what I mean?
But what's funny is that I call this, they say, D'Angelo effect. I remember reading in Vibe magazine, maybe like a year or two later after that, they were saying that that became a part of record contracts. Mm-hmm. For male artists, was like, you got to work out, stay in shape.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's like, man,
they doing it now for all these reunion tours. Because Motley Crue about to go on the road. I don't know if you ever watched any Vince Neil videos from Motley Crue.
No,
that dude. I mean, he he looks a little rough. He's a little bloated, and he sounds a little. Like he's not even really saying words anymore. He's just like, and then I'm not even saying.
Come
words
on, man.
Anymore.
Come on, man.
And look, that's in the contract now. They're like, you look, bro,
you gotta say, you gotta come correct.
Look, it's June. It's June now. You're like, we going on the road in a year. You got to get the personal trainer now. PT it up.
That's funny.
And D'Angelo did the same thing when he came out. I mean, he definitely had trimmed it up a little bit. But he's not going to do. He got muscles and stuff. But he's not going to do the
6-pack ab thing.
Yeah, he's not. Look, that's.
I mean, man,
I think he likes to enjoy life too, D'Angelo. He seems like a kind of guy that he doesn't really tune into the internet very often. He seems like he likes to tune out and just be his own cat and like hang. You know what I mean? Like, I think he enjoys a beer.
I do remember, man, seeing some interviews with him in Quest afterwards, some other people, and I just remember him, voicing frustration about, I work real hard, I studied the Yodas, and then I try to give you this dynamic show,
right?
Which was it was a dynamic show. I mean, man, the Voodoo tour is like, if they ever put that out on DVD,
I'm sure they got it. I mean, the closest you're going to get is probably the North Sea Jazz Festival.
North Sea Jazz Festival, but like when you see it, and you see the work that they put in, he was like, just to have people like, okay, take it off, like, I'm sure that's kind of aggravating and frustrating, and so you're like, man, like I'm giving you a show that's better than anything out.
Nobody was given that kind of showmanship.
I mean, like the only closest, like the only people who could probably rival that level of showmanship at that time were people who were out before Springsteen, Prince, maybe Mint Condition.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely Mint Condition.
Like MJ. Like Sadiq wasn't solo yet, so you know what I'm saying. So it was some like gigantic.
I mean,
people.
Maxwell.
He
has a great live show. He could do all that stuff.
So like he said was like giving a show, and I'm sure some people they may have fell deaf on some people. Like maybe they didn't appreciate like, wow, like he is like, this is a phenomenal.
Well, here's the thing.
Show.
Here's the thing. D'Angelo, excuse me, he has not completely broken through like Prince did. He hasn't exactly had a Little Red Corvette.
Right.
If you will.
Right,
you know what I mean? He's still a black, really more of a black
what's funny?
musician.
You're right.
He is a black musician's musician, really. And a musician's musician. Like, I mean, he obviously has a lot of fans of all kinds of different colors. Yeah. But he is mainly known in the urban households, in my opinion.
What's interesting was that when Voodoo was out, he got a lot of, and I'm going to say airtime, when they would have the VH1 Men's Fashion, he was on there. Yeah. When he was on the MTV Movie Music Awards or whichever one it was, so he was getting shine on those shows or like getting invites that other black male artists weren't getting.
But it was a collab situation a lot of the time. Sometimes he would end up having to sing with somebody.
On VH1 it was with Tom Jones.
With Tom Jones.
Yeah.
Tom Jones.
It was with Tom Jones. It was with
Tom Jones is saying with every black person. He is saying with every black and white person.
Yeah, it was with Tom Jones.
He was like, I'll soul it up with you real quick. What's this? Yeah, he's like, what's this song? Yeah,
let's do Sex Machine.
Yeah, Sex Machine. Get on up.
Yeah.
They're like,
but yeah, you're right. He hasn't, but I think if he was ever at a close cusp, that was the closest.
Until the Black Messiah, where he did Saturday Night Live, he did some of the late night shows. He did Jimmy Fallon, obviously.
Yeah.
He actually did a little bit of TV, and actually was able to perform his own songs. Usually, that's what it's been. He has been more of a guest artist.
I don't think he did the BET Awards. Did he?
He did. He did before the record came out.
Okay.
He did that in 2013, I think. Or 2012 or 2013.
It was one of those early years.
Around the time when he was. I think it was when they did the Mary J. Blige tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was doing it around that time as well.
Okay.
So yeah. So he's been teasing it for a minute, and that's. I definitely think it's. I think it's interesting that record is sonically is. I would say it is Black more Messiah? Like Black. Yeah, Black Messiah is more like Brown Sugar because it is a very polished record. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, and that was the thing that made me more excited about it when I heard the demo versions of it of Black Messiah, of Thousand Deaths. Mm-hmm. Hearing that version demo, I'm like, man, he could. I was like, he could do it again.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest with you, man. Like when you look at post Voodoo to Black Messiah, we had like Be Here with Sadiq.
Yes.
We had the RH Factor song I'll Stay.
He crushed that.
He had
and Red Hot and Riot. The tribute where he did Water Get No Enemy.
Yeah.
That's pretty much his production with Questlove.
And Nile Rodgers was on there, right? Nile
Rodgers is on that. Mason
So
Gray.
I mean, there were bits and pieces of.
He was also on that other RH Factor record. He did the BS record or whatever.
It was called Bullshit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It was called Bullshit. Yeah. So, he had less output. Well, I mean, 14 years. It was like, okay, these tunes weren't like exactly back to back. It was like
it was years.
They were like spare.
He had a rough like 3-4 years.
It was kind of like, okay, like what's gonna. And I'll be honest with you, man. Like during that time period. I remember when Badu and the Roots came back to the Landmark, and I just knew. I said, okay, his boy is here, and Erica said he's got to show up to the show.